Hi, I find myself in this situation a lot recently. I wonder if you can relate. You've got something to share. You've spent ages on it. It's been hard work. You're very proud of it and you're excited to share it with the world. You've made videos, mailing lists, podcasts, and you want to share them. So you head to Twitter. You think to yourself, Twitter likes engagement. So what I'll do is I'll find some stuff to reply to. I'll look at what's trending. I'll try and be amusing. I'll engage in some conversations. So you spend a bit of time looking around, seeing what's happening. But it's all just really grim and nasty and miserable. You try and think of something amusing and light to add to the conversation, but you can't particularly. So you just share what you were going to share. Then you head over to Instagram. You make a reel or a video or a story or a post about the thing that you want to share. Again, you look around for things to join in with, but pretty soon you're sucked into just watching videos of funny dogs or pandas. And then you spend a bit of time seeing what your contemporaries are up to, and they're sharing amazing photographs of their brilliant tour or their new acting gig or their left big toe. And they're getting hundreds and thousands of likes for it. And if you're in the wrong frame of mind, you just start to feel a little bit inadequate. Especially when you check back at your posts and see that they've got a couple of likes and one comment that says, please check your DMs for a sponsored promotion. So you head over to Facebook, good old faithful Facebook. You've got a personal profile there as well as a artist/business page. You have a look on the news feeds of both to see what's happening, and it's not exactly dead, but it's not going to be taking up much time in the hospital. You post your thing and move on. My numbers across social media are small, respectful but small. I've had periods where I feel like I've got a nice engaged following, and I've also had points where I've tried my best to post regularly with useful or engaging or amusing content. I've tried to play the games and follow the rules that each individual platform seem to like. For example, rather than doing what I want to do, which is to put a video in one place and sending everybody there, I've hosted it across each individual platform because I know they prefer that and they don't like you to send people away to other websites. I've edited up videos to be the perfect length for each platform, even though that takes loads more time when you've already made the thing in the first place. I've also tried not to share links, which means that when you put something on and say, I've got this new thing, someone will often comment and say, well, what's the point of sharing it if you don't put a link? And you have to say, well, if I put a link, you don't see me sharing it. It's a bit of a vicious circle, really. There have been a few times when my engagement and reach does seem to have taken a bit of a jump, but the truth is that hasn't always been a particularly pleasant experience. I'll give you some examples. There was one occasion when I thought I was being, playfully witty. There was a very famous singer being interviewed on TV, and this singer seemed to get upset to be asked about the lyrics of a particular set of songs on their album. And I made the point that as every song on the album had at least 3 co-writers on it, maybe they didn't really know what the lyrics were about. Bit cheeky, bit mean maybe, but what I didn't expect was then to have a few hours of just being kind of attacked by the fans of this singer who were doing their best to defend them. It's an interesting experience. I once posted something, an open question to fans of Donald Trump, supporters of Trump, asking what he could actually do, what possible thing could he do that would make them stop supporting him, and had several hours of rather unpleasant people pointing out how wonderful Donald Trump was. And then there was the time when I waded in on a bit of a debate that was going on between a very famous guitarist and a music industry commentator, and they were talking about whether streaming was killing music. And I made a little response video, sort of saying I kind of agreed with both their points of view, shared it on Twitter, maybe made the mistake of including the guitarist in my description of it, who just replied saying, who cares? As in, who cares what you think? And then I had a little bit of time where their fans were replying saying that I was a nobody. Which is true, but still seemed a bit mean. Getting engagement by being controversial or having arguments might grow my audience, I suppose, but it doesn't really feel like it helps with what I want to be doing, which is getting more people to see and engage with the stuff that I'm making. Also, it's not really very much fun. I do, of course, get engagement from the things that I share, especially if I follow the rules of, a nice photo, not much text, use a video. However, sometimes, even if it's going well, I can just feel a bit naff about talking about myself and sharing pictures of me and doing all that. I want the work to talk for itself, really, although I'm aware that musician shares song or actor goes to audition isn't exactly the most fascinating thing you can share with the world. I just feel like I bang on about myself a lot. But then even then I have people who know me and follow me who'll still say, oh, you make a podcast. Oh, you've got a new album. So if they're not seeing all this stuff I'm banging on about, what's the point? There's a thing going on with Twitter at the moment. It's got a new owner who's doing or talking about doing some controversial things which the users don't like. Some of the users are even talking about leaving the platform. Facebook and Instagram seem to be moving towards a subscription service where to get the best content you have to pay for it, which I suppose on the one hand is fair enough. At least it's up front. We have always paid for social media, just in the past it's been with our attention and our data rather than money. But I sort of think if it is going to a subscription model, I prefer things like my Ko-fi page, which like Patreon and Kickstarter and those other things, they're ways of sharing what you're doing with people who are interested. They pay a subscription, and like on my Ko-fi page, I put things there that other people on other platforms would never see. You've probably never heard about my Ko-fi page because if I share a link to it on my other social media, it gets squashed. I also love updating my website and mailing list. I feel that that's great because I can put what I want on there. I don't have to follow any rules about the way that content and engagement works. And also the people on those on the mailing list and on the website are people who are interested in following me. So I don't feel like I have to really grab their attention every time, hopefully. The other thing is if something happens with the social media platform, like they start to charge or I don't like the way that the platform's going or it's just not very nice anymore, I'll always have a mailing list and I'll always have a website where I can keep in touch with people. Is it time to leave social media? I think if I just had a personal profile everywhere, I probably would have done by now. It wastes my time and it makes me feel unhappy. But there's still a voice in my head which says that as a musician and an actor and a creative and a business, I still need social media to be sharing the stuff that I'm making. There have been some brilliant things that have come up for me through social media. Radio plays, gigs, castings for acting roles, paid work. But if I'm putting stuff out and it isn't being seen by people, even if they already follow me, and if new people aren't being shown the projects that I'm working on, and if I'm spending more time thinking about social media than making the stuff that I want to make, and it's making me feel competitive and unhappy, what's the point? What do you think? Is social media still useful? Does it still have a place? Does it still entertain us, both as a creative person and business, but also on a private profile? Let me know.